well, what kind of voice actor do you want to be? Because the main thing, yes, question?
I think we're all just marveling at the fact that she said 31 years, and we're like, he doesn't look that old.
Oh, I'm 30, I'm going to be 37. I've been doing this since I was 6, that's why.
Oh, wow, okay.
I'm not like 50.
No, that's scary.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Ooh, what's your
Almost 37.
What? Okay, so what pool of youth have you stumbled across?
I use a lot of moisturizer. Okay. Oh, well, thanks. It's a lie. As soon as the clothes come off, I just look like this. Yeah, it's only up here. It's young. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Anyway, show of hands, just so I know who I'm talking to. Who here is considering a career in voiceover? Oh, okay, so plenty of people. Very cool. All right. Voiceover industry can take a wide variety of different things. Whenever I say amateur voice actor, just to be clear, I don't mean bad voice actor. I just mean somebody who doesn't do it for a living. And when I say professional voice actor, I mean somebody who's at the very top of their game doing some major projects. There is a whole range between those two different points, and everybody kind of falls in a different place. So this isn't a judgment thing, just letting you guys know. So if I say this person's an amateur, it doesn't mean you're a lousy piece of garbage. Everybody starts from somewhere. And it all depends on what kind of voice acting you want to do. One of the main questions that I get is, I want to be an anime voice actor because I go to a lot of anime conventions, and so that's where a lot of that stuff is. Out of curiosity here, anime, video games, what are you guys looking for?
Oof.
All of the above.
Yeah. All of the above. Interesting. Okay. So, I'm going to go into each one in like a little bit of detail, and then when we get to the questions part, if you have any specific questions, we're going to go from there. Okay? All right. So, for anime, we're going to talk about that real quick. This is the dubbing industry. Anime is one of these things that it probably pays the worst out of all of the different voice acting career options, but it's very prolific. There's lots of it out there. However, they make sure that you have to live in a city where anime is done. It's one of those things you can't do it from home. You have to be in either Texas, you gotta be in Los Angeles, maybe New York, and right now that's about it. So when people say, I want to do anime, how do I do it? I say, move. Do you have the money to live in one of those places? If not, or save up that cash, because it's an important part of all of it, okay? Let's say you're talking about video games. Video games have a very wide range because there's stuff that's super duper independent, and then there's like high-end professional like stuff that they shoot on sound stages in Hollywood. It's this huge range. So a lot of people get their start doing small projects on the internet. It's either fan dubs if you're talking about anime, or it's something simple like independent video games where they're maybe non-paying, or they pay you like $10 to play like a character with like 50 lines, and that's it, because that's all they can afford. Your job is to figure out what's best for you at any given point in your career. If you're just starting out, you've never done any kind of acting before, that's your very first step. Be an actor. It's the most easiest thing you can possibly do, and all you have to do, find a local acting opportunity. This could be a stage play. It could be somebody is shooting a small commercial for like a local restaurant or business, and you audition for that. You find out from Craigslist, or you find out from Twitter, various opportunities. Really simple things like that, and try it, and see if it's something that you actually enjoy. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, I'm a fan of this cartoon show, so I'm going to move to Los Angeles and be a professional voice, and then they get out there and they realize, wow, I hate this. This is not for me. What have I done? They made this giant transition. They said goodbye to their friends and family. They spent a ton of money, and then they made a huge mistake. So your job is to just try to be an actor and see if you enjoy it. So let's say you did a play, maybe you did a small project, and you went, wow, this is my thing. This is my jam. I really like this. Okay, if you want to be a professional voice actor, your next step is really simple. It's going to be getting a fairly cheap microphone and a decent recording environment. A decent recording environment is not this. in case you're wondering. When you hear me talking, you can actually hear this echo all over the room, right?
Yeah.
A simple recording environment is a walk-in closet, right? It's a not super confining space, it's not super wide open, and there's all these clothes lining the walls, so it's really good for absorbing sound. And then you get a cheap microphone. It doesn't have to be something super expensive. Even if it's something like a USB microphone like the AT2020, which is an Audio-Technica low-end microphone, that's usually a great place to start. And what you can do is go to a place that I would highly recommend to anybody who's considering becoming a professional actor. It's the Voice Acting Club. It is a website, it's a forum, but more importantly, it's a Discord server. So if you've ever gotten on Discord, go to the Voice Acting Club. You will find people from wide ranges of success, people who are just starting out and people who've been doing it for years, to get tons of advice on what kind of audio equipment should I get? How do I get better sound dampening? All sorts of technical stuff. You can also find job postings up there. So if you're ever like, hey, I want to try some small little thing and get my toes, dip my toes into the voiceover industry, I'd like to start there. I would highly recommend it. It's completely free and it's easy to use. Additionally, if at any point I say something here and you're like, I don't remember what the heck Ben said, there is one of the absolute best resources on the internet. It is 100% free. And a lot of people will ignore it because, it's like, oh, I didn't spend any money on this, so how good could it possibly be? It's called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. It is written by D. Bradley Baker. He is one of the best voice actors in the industry, and it goes over pretty much everything. Anything I say here will be covered in way more detail there. So, completely free, both of those two options, check them both out. Really, really easy place to start. So let's say that you've gotten your feet wet, you've started to do little projects here and there. Now your next goal is to, unfortunately, move. Most of as you get further and further on down towards that professional end of the spectrum, they don't really want you to do stuff from home. They don't want you to have your own microphone and your own recording environment. The producers of bigger projects, they want to be in complete control of that. So they want you to come into a professional recording studio with one of those several $1,000 microphones that they have and record in a professional recording environment with a director there live. So that means if you don't live in LA and you want to audition for a project there, you have to be willing to either fly in on your own dime and do that project or pass on it. They might not even care. They might say, you don't live here, sorry, you can't audition for this project. There are people who literally fake addresses, like they'll say, oh yeah, I live in Burbank, and they totally don't, and that's the only way they can even get some auditions, because that's how serious these companies are when it comes to keeping everything very local, where they have full control over it.
Same with most creative jobs in the industry.
Correct. You gotta go to where the work is. Don't expect the work to come to you. It just doesn't usually happen. Unless you're talking about, again, down on this end, the more amateur stuff. If somebody's making a web comic, and they're like, hey, we want to turn this into like a little animated short. We want some voices for our characters. We got no money, but we're looking for actors. You could totally do that from home. They're not going to expect you to come into a recording booth. But that's just how this sort of stuff works. So everything on the amateur end is much more accessible, but it tends to not pay too well, and it probably won't lead to some sort of major career. What it's great for, though, is building experience. Experience is always going to be something that comes back to help you as you progress in your career. Yes, sir?
I actually live near Los Angeles, and I'm actually a practicing voice actor. If I were to maybe make the commute, it's like an hour each way if I take the train, would they consider someone like me?
Yes, so that's definitely close enough. Proximity is important. It's really, can you get to the studio when they call you? Usually you'll get at least a day notice in advance. They won't be like, hey, I need you to show up now. And if you can't get there, you don't get the job. It's not quite like that in professional settings. There are some exceptions, but that's pretty rare. So yes, you definitely live close enough. Yes.
What are some great resources to clients in these amateur gigs that you were speaking of? Is this something that you have to stumble across, or is there like a website like Fiverr or Upwork that you can check out?
Sure. So let's talk. This is an interesting question. There are websites like Fiverr, Voices.com is one, and Voice123, I believe is what it's called. These websites are kind of what we call pay to play. The idea is you have to get a subscription, a membership fee that you pay. It's a yearly fee in order to receive auditions from these places. There are also special bonus packages,